Hi everyone, welcome to our September 24th Jupyter Frontends and server and kernels call. Uh, Today we are recording for the YouTube channel and we have a few items on the agenda, so I will hand it over to Jared.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight the new pre-releases for JupyterLab, Jupyter Notebook, and also Jupyter Lite, which was released today for Notebook and Lite. And I think it's a good time to try the new content visibility mode for notebooks. So the PR got merged, like we discussed in the previous meetings. It's now part of the alpha releases. And I posted a couple of comments here and there on issues, and we've already got a couple of comments that were pretty, positive and encouraging. Like people reporting that this mode kind of fixed their issue with related to scrolling. So I'm not saying it fixes everything, but at least it looks promising. And what I wanted to share today was that yeah, it would be great if more could try that. And with Jupyter, I think it should also be easy to just try it in a browser, because these scrolling issues were also producible there. I think the latest one, yeah, I double check it has the content visibility. So yeah, that's the main highlight for me. And yeah, I think there is an open PR as a follow-up to enable the minimap and for all of the other modes. And once we have that in, maybe we can start talking about the beta.
It would be interesting to know whether this also, like how it compares when it comes to performance. And once we open the PR, we could just run the benchmark, which will probably not work because it wasn't used recently. But maybe we could compare the performance manually compared to the full windowing mode, or at least compared to the known mode, because if it's better than known, then it's worth having that as a default. But if there is not much of a performance compared to non-windowing, then that would be like a conversation would then be, should the default be none, or should the default be content visibility? Which I do believe that content visibility is faster. Just that for this conversation, it would be good to have the actual numbers.
Yeah, it's a tough call because it's also hard to know for sure, like where users are. Like, are they mostly complaining about scrolling issues in regular size notebooks, or is there just like one or two people having like extremely long notebooks, and for them it's performance is super key. But I guess there are like these very long notebooks also have these scrolling issues, I suppose, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's okay. I'm not saying that we are deciding between setting the default to full versus content visibility. It's more like, is the content visibility significantly better than none, or is it significantly better than defer? Especially because we do know that there is a limitation when it comes to the rendering outside of cell with content visibility. But yeah, other people have hands up, so I will stop talking.
What's the fallback story for browsers that don't support this? I noticed when I looked on Can I Use yesterday that Safari just gained support for this a few months ago, for example. well, Firefox and Chrome have had it for a few years, which is great. But what happens if the browser doesn't support content visibility?
Well, to put it bluntly, Safari doesn't support the full windowing mode either, and rendering notebooks in Safari is already more broken.
Oh,
So I would take that as a win. Does Safari only recently support content visibility? Is the statement generally true, or is it true about a particular part of content visibility spec?
yeah, it's the auto content visibility that it doesn't support, if I remember right.
Yes, so it only started supporting, it had a partial support since version 18. It's 2024 September, and full support starting 2025 September.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. What does it mean that it had partial support?
Okay, so we aren't sure what it looks like in Safari where it isn't supported, or even like a really old version of Firefox. Like, does it fall back to just everything being rendered? Is it purely
I think so.
optimization? Okay.
It's probably just ignored, I guess, right? Andrew, yeah.
Yep, thank you. So wanted to so I had like a question about changing the default windowing mode. So not a breaking change. Okay, sounds good. So still wanted to for us to take a note that right even so for users change of the default windowing mode can degrade their experience, right? So it would be nice to have to give time a wide base of users to test like a new windowing mode if we would introduce it as a default for sure. Uh, and even like it's weird because people are even as if current mode is buggy, people already got used to existing bugs, and we've seen this with the previous like with the previous introduction of the new mode, right? And even though the new mode fixes old bugs, it might introduce new edge cases, and people who already got used to old edge cases or like old bugs, new bugs, kind of.
I don't think people got used to all the bugs. They just switched to a different mode. It is that broken that I think we don't need to have this conversation in that particular case. I absolutely agree with you, and that's also what Jeremy is doing. Is trying to encourage everyone to test. But yeah, unfortunately, we were not able to make the full windowing mode work with all the edge cases. And some of the edge cases were that broken that people were switching away.
Okay, cool. I see. So I think the best way to ensure like a wide base of testing would be to like release a beta and announce it, right? And make sure that there is a enough time between beta and the full release.
I wonder if for experimental changes like this, where, I mean, it's kind of experimental, but we want people to be able to easily like turn off. But this particular setting is like hidden 3 levels deep into the menu items. If it'd be helpful in general to have like a what's new page that has a link to the right setting. So if something broke on an upgrade and it's due to some setting, that we've changed, or a default that we've changed, there's some easy single stop place for a user to go to say, wait, what happened? I go to this like, settings, what's new page, or help, what's new page, or something. And it has, here's the latest release you have, the latest major release, what's new. Or maybe it's not even tied to the latest major release. Maybe it's just things that we're still figuring out if these are the right defaults for the community, et cetera. And then there's just a short list of 5 or at most 10 items or something like that that's the current new features that we're running out, and and an option to disable them, or a link to the settings page where they can disable them or adjust them, etc. Because we always run into this. Thanks, Nick. Yes, of course, our online free versions are always our guinea pigs here. We could do that too, but I wonder if there's a way to make it more discoverable here, and that makes it a better user experience when we're rolling out things that may be really frustrating to people that they want to turn off. Or we could go through a typical product life cycle where we say we make it opt-in, and again, someplace where we can sort of easily see, like, out of the 100 settings that we have, these are the 5 or 6 things. There's an opt-in phase, and then there's an opt-out phase where it's defaulted on, but you can turn it back off. And then there's a, remove from the what's new. It's buried in the menu, or maybe just a mention that, hey, this is where things are. And then it becomes standard part of JupyterLab. I wonder if there's an easier way to translate, because it seems like we're fearful of making changes sometimes because it's a huge disruption and there's not an easy way to recover from that disruption. We make that transition easier in case we make mistakes, de-risk these changes.
So usually what we do is, we manually craft the user-facing changelog, right? So it's in the changelog of JupyterLab, but also a blog post. So those are, like, I think, the 2 main resources that people use when they want to know what's new, or probably they just Google it, or I saw it sometimes appear in the newsletters, like Python newsletters as well. But yeah, I don't think we have a way. Do we have a way to have that information directly in JupyterLab? I guess that's probably what you meant. Like, I would imagine having like a page open up in case you have a version, and yeah, from there you could definitely open like the settings editor automatically at the right section, or even just have a list that could just be like a copy of the changelog, probably. I don't think we have that in place. We have the notification at the bottom right, that shows up when there is a new version. Does it have a link to release notes? I don't
It
remember.
does, but the links goes to the GitHub release, so not to the carefully crafted. Usually, what I do it in the past couple of point releases, I manually edited the GitHub release notes after the release to link to the user-facing changelog. So that was the first thing that they would see the nicely rendered changelog with all the pictures and stuff. We do have help extension, which you can click in the menu help documentation, and will open an iframe with the documentation. So maybe we could just link to the release notes from there, but deep links will not work in an iframe. It would need to be Markdown document or HTML with command linker. But then command linker could point to the settings, and in settings we can query a query on experimental, and if we add the experimental to description of every single setting, it would immediately bring all other experimental settings. So we could even target individual settings with a query. I think VS Code has a special tag for experimental settings, so it displays an experimental patch, and that should be something that we could easily add to.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think this exists yet. I'm bringing it up as an idea to ease this pain, to make it easier for us to make decisions to roll things out, because we can. Right now, we fly blind until we get a few user reports in. But we're begging people to do the beta.
This is so we brainstormed through an idea how to implement that, but this idea is only still making it easier to discover these changes for users, but still only giving us feedback after things were released. So unless we have like an active insiders program or a way to expose that earlier in the beta cycle, then we are not making that much of a progress.
Absolutely. I think we're softening the blow for users, which I think is important. But if there's a way for us to get telemetry or feedback from a group of users, that's going to be really valuable. But maybe we should take these conversations about how to roll out features safely and gain experience without blasting them to everybody. Think about them.
I quickly wanted to mention for like Jeremy mentioned that blog post, right, is a one of the good like channels to communicate stuff. So definitely Discourse is also a very good channel. I think Ian posted about this, but I'm not sure. I've seen a post from someone who looked at the analytics that this has around 600,000 like readers per month unique. I think so. That's a pretty big channel, and also LinkedIn that we still use. Like X was the biggest, right? We're not currently actively using it. LinkedIn is also really big, and of course, blog post is pretty big, the largest, as was mentioned. So yeah, we can do a quick announcement on social media, meaning LinkedIn, maybe Discourse post even without a blog. Having a blog, of course, also nice, but maybe we want to delay it until the full release. But I'd say that, like, yeah, definitely releasing beta, doing an announcement, and ensuring there is time between beta and full release might be a good action plan for this one. What is the current plan? So, like to release RC by the JupyterCon?
Final.
Huh?
It was the plan. The plan was final, but yeah, that's the plan.
The final is the plan or RC is the plan?
The final is the plan.
Okay, so currently, like the latest release is alpha, right? So how much time do we want to have for beta and for RC?
I think we wanted to have a beta very soon, maybe after the PR we talked about earlier, like about the minimap for all windowing modes.
So I think in the past we released betas even before all the enhancements were merged, but it was a signal that any new PR is not going in unless it's a bug fix or something which really needs to go in. And I think practically we could have released beta. The last alpha could have been marked as beta 0, but yeah, we can release another version and tag it as beta 0. But usually we were not publishing a blog post in the recent past until we were happy with that all the major things that users need to test are merged. And I think the biggest concern currently is about this windowing mode and defaulting that to the new content visibility option. So probably we would want to get the PR which enables that in before we announce broadly, hey, let everyone test this. But also, like, usually we would ideally have a user-facing changelog written up before posting this announcement and broadcasting that on social media. We can still like raise it and have this is the last alpha, please test it. There is a new windowing mode which solves a lot of problems. And maybe those who are more tech savvy and happy to search for this setting and enable it manually, that they could already start testing. But yeah, I think for the bigger announcements, maybe we will be ready next week. I don't know. Do we need to start writing the user-facing changelog?
Well, we can, I guess, but even if it's not fully complete, there are already quite a few features that are merged and released. So
My ultimate concern is about like users, and especially power users and potential enterprises having visibility and having time to test changes before the full release. So yeah, like making a short announcement on social media and discourse would somewhat address that for sure, and then following up with a blog post a bit later. Yeah, the more time until full release, the better. But I think making a short note about even the latest alpha would help it. What do you think? And like me and the Jupyter Media Strategy work group, or I don't know, we can work on wording. But as Jeremy or Mike just suggested, so that it can be as much as just, hey, JupyterLab has a new alpha released. It has this new windowing, new visibility mode. So please test it, right? Okay, what do people think? Any opinions on that?
well, at least until a more visible post or communication is available. Like just if you know people who have reported issues with scrolling before, and telling them to try, it's already pretty good. Like trying different setups and with users that have been reporting issues. So we have also this big issue in the Jupyter repo. I think we commented there. So every time we comment there, probably sends quite a few notifications. So there's a way to spread that information, but yeah, not like a big announcement, but just a small here and there.
So like the problem with window like visibility mode associated bugs, a lot of them they are not trivial to reproduce, and they only present themselves when the notebooks get big, and a lot of time passes, a lot of actions around, which is not trivial to reproduce for developers, and significantly more trivial to reproduce for a wide user base of like scientists or data analysts and so on. Beta is beta. Do we have any like uh, restrictions on how long our beta needs to be? One month, or like can it be whatever we want?
I think it's minimum 2 weeks.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but this is what I recall. Yep. The recommended time period is minimum of 2 weeks. That's in the release documentation. We can change that, of course. And for RC, the recommendation currently is that at least 1 week for minor releases and 2 weeks for major releases.
Okay, so it's like 3 weeks by our current policies. Could you please link it? Also send the link to the docs so I could save it.
Yeah, it's the release MD in the main repository.
Okay.
Okay, Andrew, so I understand that you're basically recommending that we start the beta as soon as possible. And I think that's what everyone wants. But like on some way, in some parts, the throughput and availability is the bottleneck. So especially when it comes to announcements and writing the user-facing changelog, etc., and reviewing pull requests, it would really help if we could have more help there. Okay, I think I will jump on to speak about a different release, which is version 4.8, which I would like to release tomorrow. And maybe we could release beta tomorrow. I would basically want to do a pre-release on the main. I have something to merge. I want to merge it and release the alpha and the patch release simultaneously if possible. We can talk about that in the off the record section. And yeah, just flagging that we'll be working on it tomorrow. Jason?
Yeah, I just wanted to flag a few community things. One, the foundation funding proposal, CFP, is open until this Sunday. Does anybody know of proposals that are being worked on in this community? I'm happy to help brainstorm, help write, whatever. I have a few proposals that are being worked on in various places in the community. I'm just trying to understand, is there anybody else working on proposals, and do you need any help? Okay, I'm happy to help if anybody wants to reach out, and members of the East Executive Council are also happy to give feedback on proposals, etc. CFPs do this Sunday. We really want to pour some money into the Jupyter ecosystem and proposals that demonstrate, a real need in helping us move forward in things. Happy to brainstorm with people off of the call, off the record as well.
So I'd just say I am thinking about writing a proposal with someone, which would be around maintenance and automation in JupyterLab. I'm not 100% set, especially given that the deadline is soon, and I only got like a confirmation that someone else would be available to potentially work on it soon as well. So yeah, if anyone was planning to submit something like that, I'm happy to also talk through about what I'm planning to submit, so that we could either collaborate or streamline that. We do not overlap on the same topic, but address different parts of what needs to be done.
Awesome. Yeah, the first stage of the proposal is to open an issue so that you can attract support and be able to collaborate, or at least coordinate between proposals. So excellent. I'm happy to talk with you, Mike, offline if you'd like on that. The second community sort of announcement, JupyterCon registration. We're really trying to drive registration and to JupyterCon, and we definitely don't want somebody to say halfway through November, wait, I didn't hear about this. And we realized that there were lots of spaces in Jupyter that we could be using to mention JupyterCon that we weren't, trying to reach end users for registration and businesses for sponsorship. Sponsorship window is rapidly closing, but we would love to get more sponsors on board. So anyway, we were brainstorming where can we mention JupyterCon in spaces that are controlled by Jupyter, especially high traffic spaces. And so you'll see in the HackMD notes, I listed an issue that is trying to brainstorm and where all these spaces are and trying to add them in a number of places. We made the banner on Jupyter.org a little bit more visible across different subpages, etc. We added links to various docs. So relevant here, we added a link in the JupyterLab, or a banner in the JupyterLab docs. We would love for folks to boost this LinkedIn sign up call. We've got a huge network of people. I'll post it in the chat here, but it's also in the notes. But one avenue that I don't think we've used for trying to reach out to end users is the JupyterLab toast. We have a mechanism in place to post announcements that are relevant to the community or relevant to JupyterLab. And I think rightly so, we've been extremely conservative about sending out announcements on this channel. And as you can imagine, we haven't sent any announcements out. We have the default, hello announcement. And we also have that separate category of like new version type announcements. But I think I figured out where the PR needs to go and open to PR. My question is, what needs to happen to action on this? Do we need to have a vote in the the front ends council? Do we need to, approve it with a few people here? And to double check my understanding of the toast announcement. Mike, you have a comment in the chat.
Yeah, I just posted that the README suggests that you can get council members to approve that by opening a discussion on GitHub. I just posted a link to that. But yeah, it says that approval of at least 2 members of JupyterLab Council. There's no JupyterLab Council anymore. That's one outdated thing. But since that link correctly redirects to Frontends Team Compass, I think we can update that. And if there is, yeah, I already approved the PR because I think this is worth it. And I think it's good to discuss that on this call. If there is someone who thinks that it's not, then it's just to bring it up now. My only concern is, how do we make sure that it doesn't show up after JupyterCon registrations are already closed? But I suspect this will be as easy as removing that from the repository.
Yeah, that was my plan, is leave it on there until JupyterCon, essentially. And then delete the announcement off of that repo. So I can tag the Jupyter Frontends team, for example, on the PR, and then perhaps send a note to the Frontends Council through email to proactively reach out to the front ends. Is there a threshold? Because these announcements, I think, are independent of releases, right? So because we're always pinging that page. So it would immediately sort of blast out to everybody that opted in to the announcement, right? It's an opt-in, not an opt-out. What's the threshold that we should have for merging this PR? We don't have a system in place, I think.
Well, no, well,
it
does say that the threshold is 2, more than 1 person.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Like this in the README here, it says, once you open a draft using a PR, it will require a review and approval by at least 2 members, and it also doesn't allow me to merge it. Even though I approved, it doesn't allow me to merge it because it needs another approval.
Yes. Okay.
That's the system that we agreed
gotcha.
on.
Yep. Great, 2 people. I'm going to double check the announcement is the text that we want, but then we just need 1 more approval, and then this blasts out live to everybody. That actually seems like a very lighter weight process than I would have imagined. But hey, let's try it out. Let's kick the tires. I'm afraid that there might be something that we hadn't anticipated, and it's going to start annoying you. Like, I don't know, if you need to delete, for example, the first one in order to get the second post, like this whole putting a post in the underscore post directory, there isn't an underscore post directory right now. So anyway.
So I think this can be tested by giving a tradelet with a URL to your fork. So we should do that.
Perfect. Okay, good. I do want to.
And then we basically, once we merge, we make sure that this is in a overlap between the US, Europe time zones, and be able to revert that if something goes wrong. Yeah, I think it will be okay. I know that some deployments chose to provide a URL to a different feed, so they will not get this announcement. And this is a conscious decision. Some people are using that, so that's at least the mechanism is tested, and there were no bug reports about it.
Right. Great. Yeah. And I don't think there's any way we can get traffic statistics on how many people see this post, right? It would be a server-side log because there's no way to put like a JS tracker or anything in this Atom feed. I suppose you could link a pixel image or something like that that would try to give you some sort of statistics, but then you run into, I suppose, lots of objections. Nick, of course, has a comment about making the system better. RSS and iCal viewers rather than something homegrown. Yep, the system is what we have in place, though. So I want to exercise it as another channel to reach out to people. If you know of other channels to reach out to, I don't know, high traffic either end users or to businesses and thinking about sponsorships, please add your comment to the issue that's listed in the HackMD, where we're brainstorming lots of different places to mention JupyterCon. And tell all your friends. Well, maybe the ones that are interested in Jupyter. We'd love to see people in San Diego. Thanks.
Hey, and I also wanted to quickly mention that I will definitely dedicate at least one full day this week to reviewing. We'll try to do more for JupyterLab. So yeah, Mike will do that. Thanks.
And that is the end of the agenda. So I can stop our recording so we can move on to any off the record announcements.